Could everyone take your seats, please? Okay, we'll go ahead and call this meeting back to order, please. And I believe we are to the consent agenda, item 7. Council, do you have anything you would wish to pull from the consent agenda to discuss?
I think we need to wait for Councilman Simon. She may have something.
Well,
He called
I
me.
don't-
Not here.
I'll pull the futsal question.
I was just going to say.
Item B, you
Yes.
pulled item B.
I'll
Is there
pull
any
that.
other thing else? Okay, is there a motion to approve the remainder?
Motion to approve the balance.
Okay, we have motion to approve the balance and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mayor Nelson.
Aye.
Councilman Simmons.
Aye.
Councilman Longcart.
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh.
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin.
aye.
Councilman Slackton.
Okay, item B, Parks and Recreation Agreement. Nicole, could you come forward, please? Got a few questions about this. Could you first go ahead and frame it for us?
Yeah, what it is basically is like any of our other agreements using our sports facilities, our soccer fields, our baseball fields, basketball courts, everything that we do have. The Community Park Pavilion has been built and completed for the last 2.5 years, and currently people are just using it for fun. Casa Mexico and Mr. Romero does have usage of that courts on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. So this league would use it Monday, Wednesday, Friday. This league did come to me. They are affiliated with the Florida Futsal Association, which, being a member of that, does give every person, children and adults, medical insurance. So if they do get hurt while they are playing, it does give them medical insurance. We don't require that, but it is something that these people do have. There isn't anything on the books currently, policy-wise, that says we only allow Bonita Springs groups to come in and run our sports programs. So to me, it's just first come, first serve. Whoever comes to me says, I have everything put together, insurance, all the requirements that we do have in place, then I bring forth an agreement that I work on with Audrey for your approval. That's pretty much the scope of how it's always been done in the last 5 years that I've been here. But if you have any specific questions.
Well, just as clarification, the contract is for a full year.
It is for a full year, just like all of our other contracts that we do for any sport league. It is for 1 full year.
And specifically, they will be using it Monday, Wednesday,
Monday,
and Friday.
Wednesday, and Friday.
And the other group currently now and still will be using it Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday,
and
Sunday.
Sunday. Correct.
Nothing
Right
that would
now,
interfere.
they're using it on those days, I believe, for basketball only, because you can play basketball in this pavilion or futsal. It is lined for both. We do only have one futsal court. The pavilion is only one court.
Yeah.
So it's not like the soccer fields where we have 7. So it does make it a little more difficult when you only have one.
Okay, in your opinion, before we go to council,
Sure.
in your opinion, is there room for both groups in this mix here? Is it
Doing
gonna
it on
interfere
those
with
2
anybody's
separate
ability to
days,
use
it doesn't interfere with Casa Mexico's current use on the Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, because they will be using it on the Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
And if they wanted to start their own league and enter into an identical contract with the city, they could do so, could they not?
Absolutely.
Okay. Questions from council?
Oh, I have a comment, just because, I want to thank the council for one thing, for building this pavilion, because Casa Mexico, Juan Romero, Mr. Baltazar Breseño came to me and said, you've got this inline skate park that's falling apart. We could make this a futsal stadium. And I said, that's a cool idea, but what's that all about? They invited Paraguay and Holland, the teams from Paraguay and Holland, to come and play in our gym. And it was fantastic. What a fantastic tourism development idea as well. Of course, it wasn't so good because we beat them. Yay, team. Fantastic players. That was 5 years ago. And we have this beautiful pavilion that's been multi-purposed for basketball and futsal. the league here in Bonita Springs is also called Bonita Springs Futsal League with FIFA referees. They've been playing out there. They've got registrations. I'm concerned about the clause in here in the agreement on page 3 of 6, which gives this other Bonita Futsal League, who doesn't even live in Bonita Springs, organized by somebody who goes around and organizes these around the counties, priority status, when I think our citizens, our taxpayers in Bonita Springs should have the priority for use. So that is my concern. We've gotten to this sticky wicket before, and I just don't want to get into it again. I have full faith that Nicole and Casa Mexico can work out an agreement. They've given you a packet here that shows you their teams, their registrations. I think they have 9 teams now.
I don't have any of that information,
I'll give it to
nor
you.
was any of this discussed with me.
I know, but you know they're playing out there. This hasn't been pickup games. These are league games. I'll pass this to
I don't
the-
know that information.
Okay,
City
just
manager?
Martha, we'll just go ahead and, yeah, she's not going to be able to read it now anyway.
No, but she'll have the information.
Thank you very much. Yes, Carl?
Mr. Mayor, if I just might, and I've talked to the city attorney and also to the director of Parks and Recreation. The word primary or priority means simply that if they're going to pay, as with use of any of our facilities, if this group is going to pay to be here, they're going to pay to be in a specific location at during specific times on specific days. So that's the priority issue, is that we are going to reserve time for them on
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
at specific times for them to be able to have their activity. This facility remains open to other leagues or other residents at all times. So the issue of priority is simply because they've paid for it and there's an opportunity for them to use it at scheduled times. It doesn't mean they have priority all 24 hours a day over that facility.
Gotcha.
No.
Audrey?
If you look at, and the clause that Councilmember Simons pointed out, and she focused on the word priority for use, but I also want to have you look at the last sentence of the agreement, which says, if there is an alternative league with at least 25% of the players living within the corporate boundaries of the city of Bonita Springs, then this league will have to accommodate their practice time so as not to affect school and parent schedules. So if there is a league, and again, that is formed, because pickup games are a little bit different, but if there is a league that has that formation, there is a clause in here already requiring the residency primary to be able to have it for the,
Well, I think you get into the
It's fine.
definition of league, that.
The definition of league for us in Parks and Recreation is that they have an agreement with us and that they are formed with insurance, because we do require $1 million limited liability insurance for all of our leagues. That is what a league to us is, and I don't have that information.
So if again,
If they
this
form-
does not whatever. This does not prevent,
Yeah.
dang it, new mouth, put that down. Okay. That does not prevent the Casa Bonita people or anybody else from going ahead and forming a league, get you the paperwork, off they go. They have the same rights and privileges as anybody
Correct.
else.
Just like we do for the soccer fields, we do have 3 different leagues that use those 7 fields.
Okay.
And they're scheduled at different times.
All right,
And
good.
they all 3 have agreements with us.
Okay, good. Council, anything else before I go back? Bill, then I'll come back to you, Mark.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The annual fee of $150 per team, how many teams are the Naples going to have?
We don't know exactly how many teams they're going to have. We don't require that before we put an agreement through. We do require the insurance up front, so they're not going to put teams together and pay for insurance if you say no to the agreement, and we do that with everyone. We don't know the people before the agreement is put in place.
How many people?
Right.
We also, do you have any idea how many people were involved? You don't even know, you don't have those facts yet in terms of how many people are going to come to our facility with the cars and?
No, on a futsal game, there are only 5 players that play per on each team.
Thanks for helping me.
And we only have one court. So 10 players are on one court at one time.
Does the league?
And then they have family, I'm sure, that will come in.
Thank you.
as
Does
well.
Does the league that's in town, do they also pay the $150?
They have not paid anything as of yet.
Okay, well, that's standard for any, it's 100?
Oh, will they be charged? Yes. All of our leagues that have agreements are charged.
Thank you, Carl.
Absolutely.
You did, that was good. That's-
Yeah.
I'm a little slow, I just got back.
Yeah, all of our soccer leagues, they pay, the children pay less, of course, than the adults, but we do have a per player fee for children and a team fee for adults.
Okay.
And they all do pay.
Do we have, is there a reason why they're coming here, other than the fact that the facility's available for Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays?
They're just looking to expand into the Bonita Springs area. They have Bonita Springs residents that don't want to drive to Naples to play. So we have a facility here, so they would like to play here.
So there's not sufficient places in Collier County for them to go to, that's what they told you?
What they mainly told me was people live in Bonita and didn't want to drive
Oh, I see, the other
to
way.
Naples because gas prices and things like that, it was easier for them to come here.
Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Well, my
Yes.
concern is because our residents have organized under Bonita Futsal League that we'll be granting that name to an organization from Naples. And they're already organized. We know how many teams they already have. These are our folks. I would just hope that we could maybe, the other thing is, you said Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for this league?
Correct.
Right. That leaves us 4 days for the basketball and our own futsal league. So that is giving sort of priority because we'll be squeezing those two other activities of our residents into 4 days. So then they'll maybe each get 2 days. I just wish we could hold off on this agreement until we sign an agreement with our own residents, and then we'll give time to the people from Naples.
Currently, there is no policy in place that says we give preference to residents of Bonita. There just isn't a policy because most of our sports programs are not from Bonita Springs, such as our youth basketball is out of Naples, our summer camp is out of Naples, our after-school program is out of Naples, our Little League is out of San Carlos Park.
Doesn't mean that the people who are playing there are from Naples. It's that
Correct.
the organization
It just means
itself.
that the organization itself is from those locations.
Yeah, well, I have a policy personally to take care, and I was elected to take care of the residents of Bonita Springs. And because I've got residents in my district who want to have the use of Bonita Futsal League, and I lobbied for them to get this thing built, that my policy, and if we want to create a policy on this council to first serve the residents of Bonita Springs, and then we'll be concerned about San Carlos Park and Naples, then my policy would be to ask that we work this out so that our residents have the priority to have the name for their league, Bonita Springs Futsal League, instead of giving it to somebody from Naples, and that they can go ahead and sign an agreement. They've been playing there and haven't brought forward an agreement, but they were preparing to bring an agreement and would like to meet with you to do that. They were prepared to pay the insurance. Maybe we can hear from them so they can state the same. And what their days that they'd like to play, because we're giving these Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I don't know what the basketball league, I know they're organizing to also come to sign an agreement with you, what their preference for days are, but I'd prefer to give it to those who are already organized by our residents.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Nicole, the bottom line is, let's say we're running a business here, and it's not that you are in any way saying that who these people are.
No.
It's an agreement that came forth, first come, first serve.
Correct.
Okay, so
Yep.
there's nothing that was done deviously or anything like that?
No.
And we're not really hurting them with Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, right?
Correct. It will not affect those 4 days whatsoever.
Okay?
Okay.
I would support this.
But no, I don't solicit anyone. They come to me. So if someone comes to me ready to go, having all of the paperwork, I do know the term Bonita Springs Futsal League is already registered through the state. So they do have that name per the state sanctions. I can't control that because they already are registered and have registered the name through the Florida Futsal Association.
Okay. Council, you have any other questions? Bill?
Ben, I really think we need to, and I didn't realize the extent of the outside activity, because obviously I didn't look into it. But having heard what Martha has said, I really believe that we need to protect, and don't forget, we have maintenance costs for all the things that we do.
Absolutely.
And they're large, they're not small.
Yep.
And I understand that, you have to cut the grass and all these other things. But I would think, what Martha's point is, I think we should look at that in terms of, because I didn't realize so many other people are coming from the outside. We got to take care of our own.
Yeah, it wasn't a policy, so I just hadn't put that
It's not a
forth.
criticism of your presentation, it's not that, it's about, maybe we should look at that.
Well, and I just want to touch base again, that just because the organization comes from Naples
Yeah.
does not mean that when they form, I would imagine when they form something here, some people come from Naples to play, a lot of people from Bonita, so
Sure.
I'm sure that if they start coming to Bonita and saying, no, nobody from Bonita can play, I don't think that they're doing that.
No, and this league will, anyone can come and play. You can join this league. It's not exclusive to anyone. That is in our agreements that anyone is allowed to come and play with any of these groups that we have an agreement with. So they wouldn't turn anyone away. So they could play. Anyone could play.
Okay, Pete, and then we'll go over to Janet.
Okay. And I apologize. How long, you said there's 10 players on the court. How long does a game take?
They do 20-minute halves,
Okay.
so
So
about
I'm
an hour.
just trying to think logistically.
Yeah.
The number of people that are trying to cycle in and out of there, it's every 40 minutes. Well, maybe every 45
They have
to an hour
timeouts and
based
things like
on
that, so about an hour,
Once an hour.
roughly.
Okay.
Okay, and Janet.
I guess that what this is going to boil down to is that obviously these other groups are adding to the revenue of Parks and Recreation to pay for those maintenance costs. So if we're going to give preference to our Bonita groups, do we have enough Bonita groups to cover that? To cover those vacancies that might be caused by asking these or telling these other groups that we don't have room for you?
At this point, I have not been, no one else has come and asked me. Any other groups within Bonita have asked me for basketball or anything
I
in that
think
nature. So.
What I'm going to say it is that right now, we don't have that policy in place. So obviously, this group that has applied should be given the year to go ahead. And then we've got to decide as a council if we want to have the resident policy.
Okay,
And at another time, obviously, that would have to come back.
Audrey, and
Thank you. And I just want to point out that residency policies, when it comes to parks and recreation and fees and having fee deferential and usage deferential, there is some case law depending on how the money, where the money was derived. If you use just strictly city money, then it's easier to put a deferential. But if you use monies, and in this case, I believe community development block grants were used for the facility, I would be urging caution on too much.
okay, we're not
deferential.
going down that road right now anyway, so, but thank you very much. Council, what's your pleasure?
I'd like to make a motion. Okay, I'd like to ask that we hold off till our next council meeting so that you can also work in an agreement with our Casa Mexico Futsal League and the Basketball League. I don't know where the Basketball League is, frankly. I believe they are preparing. But then we can work out all the scheduling before we give the Monday, Wednesday, Friday away to somebody we don't know. And we already have somebody who's prepared. I know that they'll want to do that, and that we direct staff to do that. And I will be supportive of signing this agreement, but I think we need to work with our internal organizations to make sure we get that right, so we don't have a repeat of past inequities.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to, I suppose, table this, is that what you're saying? Or not to approve it?
Yeah, to bring it back and direct staff to work with somebody who's an eager partner here who would like to have an agreement.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? I quite frankly think that you have somebody legitimate. You guys are great. Juan, you're all fine, but you snooze, you lose sometimes. I mean, you have time. You've had a lot of time to get your league together and stuff. You still have time. You can still do that.
Absolutely.
Approving
Absolutely.
this item does not preclude them from forming their league. I think it's kind of unfair to not let them let the other league proceed. But right now, before us, there's a motion to deny, I think.
To table to the next meeting until, and direct staff
So
to
the
work out an
motion is
agreement
to-
with our
to take- there's
organization.
Big differences here.
Yes,
Motion to table. See?
I'm going to defer the item.
defer the item.
Defer the
If
item.
that's what we'd like to
Is
do.
what I see on the agenda, what we normally have for our things, to defer the
So
item
take
for
no
2
action.
weeks. But I'm asking for clarification during that 2-week period. That would give Casa Mexico and the basketball time to form, to get a likewise contract with ours, or are you just talking about for them to have pickup games and having reserved, because that's
To
a
get
whole
an
different
agreement
thing.
together.
To actually have a physical agreement, so all the agreements are done at the same time.
Bingo, then we have everything scheduled. If the basketball can't do it, well, you know, like you said, Mayor, snooze, you lose.
So what period of time are you giving?
To our next council meeting,
November
2 weeks, November, yes?
All right, and then after that,
And Mr. Romero, can I ask Mr. Romero to just give me a sign if that's adequate time, 2 weeks for him to get his teams together? Not fair to the applicant. 1 month, 2 weeks.
We can't get, we need you
come on up, come on up.
Come on down.
First of all, thank you for the opportunity to approach this issue. Yes, we have all the registration forms. You got it in there. The players are paying then fees, and we tried to establish a program which it was not established. So I maybe it was my mistake and my wrong to try to establish a agreement with something is not exist. We have the league, the players and registrations and the insurance from Casa Mexico to cover the 1 million, or actually it's, if I'm not wrong, it's like 2.5 million we have on Casa Mexico covering. And the basketball is the same situation. We are working, it's a friendly relationship between the Casa Mexico, City of Bonita, Parks and Rec, and these players, basketball league is formed, got registrations done. They are paying already. They're receiving fees from basketball, but we are not signed up agreement yet because we exactly don't know exactly where we're standing now. How many people they're going to be playing? How is going to be the schedule? And talking about the schedule, we got already one schedule going on, and it has to be rescheduled again because if the other group come in and try to do exactly the same thing as we doing right now. The teams, the players are playing right now, and at this time we are talking Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays.
Well, actually, they're not asking to do the same thing you're doing. They're asking to do it right.
Probably. Yes,
Yes.
It's my mistake not being sitting down
Okay,
and sign up an agreement. Yes, I'm
For the teams
I'm
it's okay.
completely sure. But this again, the basketball league is playing. They don't have an agreement, but that doesn't mean they are not using it and they're trying to establish in the right program.
Okay.
We just need an authorization to sit down, sign up the agreement, and work in the schedule, and everybody's happy. And we are very happy to somebody else wants to play and use the facility. Sure.
So you think there's room for 2 leagues?
There's going to be a problem in the schedule because our teams, our citizens, they are workers, and they only can use the facility from 6 to 10 at night.
So you have been using them Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. You have
No,
been using them then?
actually Saturday and Sunday is basketball.
Okay, so you've been using them Tuesday and Thursday.
Monday.
Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays
All right.
for soccer league from
Right.
6 to 10.
Monday's a bad day.
That's all, But if the other group wants to play, if they playing in the mornings, I mean the facility is open. But again, it's going to be a situation of schedule in the afternoons and
Right.
evenings.
Well,
And-
scheduling for soccer has always been fun, right?
Yeah, and
good, right
it's
to
the futsal is going to be in place. Basketball is playing already right now. The other days we are not using it.
Okay. Any questions for Juan? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, there's a motion to defer this decision. Any other discussion before we have roll call?
And to work with the groups on agreements and
Yes.
scheduling. Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Roll call.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilwoman Simons?
Aye.
Councilman Longcart?
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin?
No.
Councilman Slakta?
No.
Mayor Nelson?
No. The motion carries 4-3. And you're going to go ahead and, Nicole, if you're approached, well, you're going to do what you can to go ahead and simultaneously work out.
Yes, what I'll
Just
do
between the
is,
two
is I
groups.
will meet with Mr. Romero and I will meet with the other group and try to put a schedule together.
Fit them together.
Yeah,
Okay?
fit them all together.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, we've already got the rest of the consent agenda. Now we have a public hearing, item 8. Audrey?
Thank you. This is a second reading of the following ordinance. This is an ordinance of the City of Bonita Springs, Florida, adopting amendments to its comprehensive plan, including amendments to the future land use map, text changes to the future land use element, creating the Rural Agricultural Overlay District, adopting goals, objectives, and policies to encourage and promote a local food system approach, providing for transmittal to the State Land Planning Agency, providing for a conflicts clause and a severability clause, providing an effective date, and for other purposes. You're probably tired of this because this is the second reading, but it did have the transmittal readings prior to the actual adoption stage, and it has been transmitted and to DEO, who sent it around, and you do have the comments. On your errata sheet today, you do have the additional changes. There were some typos that were found by Councilman McIntosh. Thank you. I'll point that out. And that was on policies 116.3 and policy 1.16.4. Those have been corrected along with the date in a whereas clause, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, yes. Go ahead. Steve?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Council, this is, we've talked and discussed this over and over. It is the foundation for the sustainability strategy that we've all passed. It has passed first, second reading, public hearings unanimously, and I'd motion we pass this on today as well.
Okay.
Second.
I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing at this moment. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter, please come forward.
Rick Steinmeier. How do I say this? But I think the city attorney is lacking a little on this green sheet. There is no Hickory Island in the city of Bonita Springs. She refers constantly to Hickory Island as opposed to Little Hickory Island or Big Hickory Island. And since she doesn't work for me, and she works for you all, I wish you would remind her or remand her to do it right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Rick. Anyone else this time, please come forward.
Hello, my name is Diane Carey Burnett, and
Okay.
I am a major beneficiary of the estate of James A. Burnett. My father was the sole owner and developer of all the Burnwood properties that you have here in Bonita. I was able to get a hold of a tape that was made when a person named Charlie Maurer came up and said that he represents myself, my mother, and my sister. We are the three beneficiaries from my father's estate. We are the largest group together. We are banded together.
Is this in reference to this particular ordinance right here?
Next public
This is,
comment.
this is.
Okay, I'm
public
sorry.
comment
I didn't
too.
realize they were separated.
Yes, this is just on this is just on this ordinance.
Okay, because I keep hearing that there's more things going on with.
You'll have another benefit. We'll
No
give you the,
problem.
We'll give you the high sign when it's time.
Okay, no wonder everybody's looking at me like.
It's all right. It's all right. Anyone wishing to speak to this ordinance at this time, please come forward. Seeing none. All right, now, council, what's your pleasure? They got a motion and a second. Any other discussion, comments? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Simons?
I'm voting no because I don't think it's expansive enough for agriculture. Thank you.
Councilman Longcart?
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh? Aye. Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Slakta?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Okay. And now we are to public comment. Anyone wishing to speak on anything, please come forward. Well, pretty much anything.
Okay, I don't have to repeat what I said, I'm sure, but my point being that I want it on record that the true Burnett's that live in Bonita Springs, and we own several, actually 7 houses, we do not agree with what Charlie Maurer said. He should not represent us, excuse me, at all. So when he said he represented the Burnett's, the family that lives here in Bonita, he was not telling the truth. We are totally against anything coming into Burnwood that would hurt children, make anybody feel nervous about living in Bonita. I live here, I've lived here on and off my whole life. I was born in Florida, and I plan to continue to live here. So it's very important to me that Burnwood not be used for a homeless shelter. I believe it would not only hurt our property values, but my daughter and I go to the Art League constantly for the last 5 years. We have a good dialogue with them. We are concerned about how many children are at the Art League all the time and how many children are across the street at the, there's a
Preschool.
preschool or whatever they call them now.
Well, that.
We are very concerned, and I'm talking about just the Burnett's, Virginia Burnett, Laurie Burnett, and Diane Carey Burnett. So just to set this straight, we do not agree with Burnwood being used in that respect. Thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak
Wow.
at this time, please come forward.
Anything, Rick Steinmeier, spiraling whitefly. I don't know how many people are, it's not a laughing matter. It's destroying the vegetation on Little Hickory Island, and in the parking lot out here, we have gumbo lumbos that are infested with it. Eventually, it'll all turn black, the leaves will fall. The black mold will fall off and destroy the cars that parked underneath it. Everybody seems to poo-poo it. Well, I'd like the city council, through somebody, to investigate what, if anything, can be done about this. Fort Myers Beach, Marco Island has tried to eliminate, there are ways to eliminate this. I know that some places, this Lee County has inoculated the palm trees, coconut palms and foxtails on Little Hickory Island. It costs $50 a tree. There's 275 trees that they inoculated, but that's only on the one side of the road. They said they were going to inoculate the ones that are on the road right away on the other side of the road. I just noticed as I come in today that these this gumbo lumbo in our parking lot is infested. It drops a black sticky mold which will eat right through the paint of your car. It's destroying the fencing around the beach accesses on Access 3. We have a tree advisory board. We have an agricultural extension. I wish the city would look into this and see if there's something that can be done. It's a new infiltration from Miami from Brazil. What more can I say? I like your city, the council, to give direction to staff to investigate this and see if there's anything we can do about this problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. Next speaker, please.
Hello, Susie Valentine. First, I'd like to speak as a member of the Tree Advisory Board. And yes, we would like to know about these things. I have said at the Tree Advisory Board meeting, would you like any advice on trees from us? We are supposedly the ones that know about it. We also have many landscape architects and people associated with landscape architecture on our board, and we deal with a lot of interesting things, and it was a huge surprise to me and several other people in the room about this proposed park on Little Hickory Island with a landscaping plan which has absolutely nothing to do with Florida or Bonita Springs or any native plants. We would like that opened up and have more of us know about that. Okay, what I really came to speak about, I am here as a member of the Bonita Springs Historical Society. And as all of these meetings, you are making history. History is being made constantly. This is a good time to look back and think of all the history that's been made in the 500 years that Florida has been La Florida, at which time, of course, Spanish was the first language, the official language of Florida. The state of Florida is designated next year as Viva Florida, Florida 500 to commemorate Florida's rich heritage and diverse cultural history, a significant milestone unlike any other in the history of the United States. The year 2013 marks the 500th anniversary of the arrival of Ponce de Leon to Florida, the bicentennial of the War of 1812, and the sesquicentennial of the war between the states. Florida was very much involved with that, and a lot of people don't know about that. Communities throughout Florida are participating in the year-long event through events that feature local history and heritage and celebrate the many peoples and cultures that make up today's modern Florida. The Historical Society has arranged with our Bonita resident David Southall, who's a retired museum educator and historian, to present a sequential series of informative educational programs about our state's little-known historical characters and events. The Historical Society's plan to reserve the community center every Wednesday throughout the months of January through April, and in about a 90-minute program, both at 2 o'clock and 7 o'clock, so that people who work, people that are in school, everybody can come. We'll promote this throughout Fort Myers, Naples, Florida, and we want people to come and dine here first. You know, have lunch, have dinner, do a program. We'd be talking about things like the people and cultures of pre-contact Florida, Columbus, discoverer or despoiler, the Calusa, a non-agricultural mound-building society, Juan Ponce de Leon, the man and the myth, the sad fate of Fort Caroline in French Florida. Other topics could be Spanish mission system, Native American refugees, Timucuan rebellion. How many of you have ever heard of any of this stuff? Probably it's a lot of new stuff. Martha, you know. Some of the programs would engage living historians in period-correct clothing. We'd have different topics presented each time, both afternoon and evening. We see this as a really excellent opportunity to capitalize on Florida's emphasis on heritage tourism and a way to attract people to our town of Bonita Springs. Our events would be publicized on the Department of State's Viva Florida 500 website, where we get worldwide attention, and we'd like to invite all of you to partner with us to make 2013 a year to remember. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Anyone else at this time, please come forward.
Hi, I'm Deb McLean with the Banana Peel, and I just want you to know that in the back of the room I've received about 17 text messages, and 10 of them are to congratulate Janet Martin on her stand for her neighborhood. The balance were for Bill. That's it.
All right, thank you very much. Anyone else this time, please come forward. Seeing none, that's it for public comment at this time. City Attorney's report. Audrey, what do you got for us today?
Thank you. I have one item dealing with plastic bags. At your last city council meeting, you asked for a resolution to come back to you to discuss the issue. I prepared that resolution, not so much following the South Miami or Cutler Bay, but a resolution more in line with your discussions, along with also I had spoken with Florida League of Cities, Ryan Matthews, who's the lobbyist, environmental lobbyist who's in charge of this particular issue. The statute calls for a uniform statewide regulation, and I have that in the resolution, with portions of that having the ability to have some opt-in capabilities. And I think that follows through with the language in both Cutler Bay and South Miami. Some of the things in those resolutions had money going, instead of going to environmental causes, if there was a charge for a bag, the money would go to a local school system, which probably had a greater need in that community, but it's possible, not that our school system doesn't need money, but you know, it might be that it makes more sense that to have that as a local issue. I also had changes in here looking at what is a store, because the definition of a store was it had to be at least 10,000 square feet. And I know when I go into 7-Eleven, that's about a 3,000 square foot operation. So it was a very limited, so I wanted that any legislation, if you recommend it, would be very clear who should be allowed limited use of plastic bags. And I use the term small retailers. And there is actually a definition for small retailers, but I put down specialty stores, secondhand stores, and I use the term mom and pop stores. if anyone has a better term, feel free. And basically, so that the resolution asks that you take it to the local legislative delegation to, be aware of it, support legislation, but also recognize home rule control, again, like preclude, to balance both the environmental and the economic needs within each community. Because, as Christine Ross pointed out here, and that's another way you can go, you can set up a committee, a think tank to send a resolution, but if it's not in your hands, I'm not sure why there's a need to do that or not do that.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Janet?
I personally do this. It's my mantra to try to recycle and not use the bags as much as possible, so I personally support it 100%. But I'd like to defer this, and I would like to see community buy-in, because this will affect all of us, residents and business owners alike. And it is a commitment to do it, and it could be a financial commitment, because sometimes to do the right thing, the green thing, costs more money than to do what we do now. So I would like to defer and have at least a workshop on it.
Okay, anybody else like to,
Yeah, I'll
Sure.
make that, but
Yep.
I'll make that as a motion.
you made a motion. Is there a second?
Second, yeah.
Okay.
Discussion?
And Martha, go ahead.
Yeah, I brought this forward because we're on a different schedule this year with our state legislature, and we'll have new people coming forward. 2010, the state legislature was supposed to deal with this issue in 2010. And the plastic bag issue, though there was a recommendation by FDEP, the state legislature deferred for 2 years already dealing with the issue. Whole countries have banned plastic bags other than ours. States have banned plastic bags. Germany, when you go there, you have to pay to use a plastic bag. Now this for me is also a home rule issue, because before it used to be in the hands of municipalities to be able to determine what they wanted to do. Then the state legislature took it out of our hands. I don't know that one statewide plastic bag solution is going to be the solution, right? Could be we have a different solution and we have a better solution in Bonita Springs, like it's often the way. We usually come up with something innovative. But I do want to raise the issue at the state legislature so they get on the ball, because they've dropped the ball for 2 years. And I think this is a pretty mild resolution. I think it says, get on the ball, discuss this at least. Let's get it on the table and give the authority back to the communities where we can deal with it. So that's what I'm hoping for. I fear deferring it because they only have 2 months. If you don't get local bills this year into their hands by November, ding, 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 it's coming up, then we're going to get off the schedule. January is going to be too late. They're already scheduling this. In fact, they're already working it. So.
Okay. Any other discussion? Quite frankly, I put this in cruder terms a couple of days ago, but I guess I should ratchet it back a little bit. This isn't something that I really think, paper or plastic, that usually takes us about, 2 seconds to answer that question. And I think that may be the appropriate forum for it, is right there at the counter. But having said that, this resolution really, whether you guys approve it or don't approve it, it really is pretty innocuous. Its purpose is to encourage the legislature to take action to discourage the use of paper or plastic bags. Mm-hmm. I don't see anything wrong with that. I think everybody would agree with we would probably should discourage that. So, you know what, council, pass it, don't pass it. I'm okay either way with it, but my personal opinion is that we should be, as citizens and as legislators, trying to discourage the use of it. There's too much of it going on. Mm-hmm. Anyway, the motion is on the floor to go ahead.
I will amend my motion that we will support. I will support this, but I'd also like it to have the workshop happen, because I do want the buy-in from the community. I want to see what the alternatives are and how it affects them.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a motion to support the resolution, and is there a second?
I will second that, or unless our seconder needs to withdraw from his first one to
No, he does
amend
not.
this. No?
There's no
Well, I
first,
will-
there's no second.
I will second it, and Mayor, I'd like to thank the councilwoman very much for supporting this. I also wrote a letter to our Chamber of Commerce saying, we can be leaders in the state. As I said, it's oftentimes the case in which we could get a community consensus to do something innovative. It doesn't have to be about taxing. Let's do something and be the green city that our comprehensive plan says that we are. So,
Okay, so Carl, you want to challenge my parliamentary,
No, sir, I'm begging for recognition.
is that the begging? Is that all we get?
Yeah,
That's
that's
not-
it for my
you're not-
begging,
if that's
sorry.
begging, you're not doing
Yeah,
well.
Yeah, okay. It's a lot different at home. It looks a lot different at home, believe me.
Write that down.
That's right. I hope Brenda doesn't click on it the wrong time.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so I want to clarify the motion to approve this resolution, but then there's also directive to staff to conduct a workshop on this issue. I mean, where's the workshop going to come in? I need some clarification on that, if I might.
How about if we have a little working group?
Audrey, you have something?
Yes, what I was going to suggest is that I play around with item C in the resolution to talk about, where we talk about opting in via ordinance, also so that there could be local workshopping being done prior to doing ordinances and such. And I think that would probably be the place to get the buy-in for the community. The state is going to be going through this anyway with the Retail Federation and other groups to make sure the retailers and the Chamber of Commerce, because I know, like I said, I talked to Ryan Matthews, and it's not a priority for League,
Right.
but it's,
Bunch of members.
just one of
though.
those issues out there.
Yeah, I understand that you wanting to have a community dialogue about this, but until there's the legislation may not be picked up until there's legislation proposed and we're asked to chime in. There's really nothing to debate yet, unless you're asking the community, hey, do you want to pass your own legislation if this does or something? So I don't know if maybe the thing to do is to have staff work with
with
the
chamber.
EDC and the chamber and
chamber.
see if they want to work together in setting up some type of a polling. The chamber has the ability to poll their members, and the retailers to see what they think about it. Maybe that would be the first step.
First step.
Is
Okay.
to do some type of poll on whether they want to do
Well,
that.
and I think, if we're going to have the stakeholders, we have the retailers, but maybe some of the environmental community as well, to talk about what the effect has been on our oceans and our sea turtles and, litterage in general, and how we can work together. And if there are successful places around the planet where retail and the environmental groups work together to get this done. I was going to bring in a plastic bag that's really beautiful that one of our retailers here uses. I'll mention them. It's For Goodness Sake Health Food Store right there in Sunshine Plaza. And they've got a really strong, beautiful, plastic looking bag that's made out of corn. That's an American product. Of course, it didn't do so well this year. But, there are alternatives to using that material, and I hope that we can find a way to navigate this in the way that the legislature hasn't. We could do this, Ben. It'd be good.
Right.
Mr.
Just as long as we aren't preempted. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm going to vote against it. I think it's bureaucracy, and I think we're putting up ordinances and green sheets that don't make a difference. And until we see something coming out of Tallahassee, I think we're just putting more paper on the people. I don't agree with it. I'll vote against it.
Plastic or?
I got you.
It's paper.
All right, good. Okay, there's a motion on the floor to support to the resolution, such as this. Any other discussion before we go on? All right, roll call.
Councilman Longcart?
No.
Councilman McIntosh?
Nope.
Councilwoman Martin?
Yes. Aye.
Councilman Slakta?
No.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilwoman Simons?
Aye.
All right, what do we have there? 1, 2, 3.
The resolution passed.
Resolution passes, and you go ahead and craft the resolution.
And then just for
My signature,
clarification, okay.
it's just to be sent
As
to the...
is.
Yeah, as is. And there you have it. Let's go ahead and go on here, if we can. You have anything else for us, Audrey?
No, sir?
Carl, up to the city manager's report. What
Thank
do you got
Mr.
for
Mayor.
us?
First item on here is to get the council to formally call for a workshop dealing with the downtown area. We have checked your calendars. It appears that November the 13th at 9 a.m. works for, I believe, all of you. If you would just formally call that meeting, we'd appreciate that. We can
So
expect
moved.
probably about
Yeah.
4 hours.
Second.
A motion and a second to call the meeting. Is there any other discussion? Roll call.
Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Slakta?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilwoman Simons?
Aye.
Councilman Lockhart?
Aye.
Thank you. And John's got the next one.
Pursuant to the terms of the resolution putting together the library task force again, the council is to name the chairperson. We've now been able to coordinate with the folks who are on the task force. They're meeting next week. The 25th will be their first meeting, and at that time, they'll go ahead and formalize their meeting schedule in order to get their recommendations back to you, but we do need a chairman. We did indicate on the green sheet that Jeffrey Brown is serving again. He served before and served as the chair before.
Council, what's your pleasure? Bill, do you have any idea of what,
I just
Jeffrey
wanna
gonna do a
thank-
good job for us?
I want to thank Jeff Brown for volunteering to be the chairman. He's a skilled person, and he's really, well, the whole committee's wonderful.
Yes.
Okay, so there's a motion to appoint Jeffrey. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. No, you made the
He's
motion,
awesome,
Bill.
isn't he?
That's all right.
He's
Can't
so
do both.
powerful down there.
I'm pretty sure. We have a motion and a second to, for Jeffrey Brown to become the chairman. Any other comment? Roll call.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Slakta?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilwoman Simons?
Aye.
Councilman Lockhart?
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh?
Okay, go ahead. Carry on, Carl.
Item C and D is your usual reports from Finance and from Public Works with regards to project updates. Any questions?
Nope.
All right, we'll move on to a couple of items that are not on your agenda. First off, and this item just came up this morning, is that the Board of County Commissioners has put out their agenda for next Tuesday, and they are going to be talking about a proposal to change the membership and the rotation of the membership of the TDC. We have had a preliminary look at the language, have not studied it fully, but I've had 2 staff members in the kitchenette working on it. The best we can tell right now is that they want to do 2 major things. Number one, they want to maintain 2 municipal representatives. One of those representatives right now, currently, is from the most populous city in the county, which is Cape Coral. All right? And then there's a second one on rotation, 4-year terms. So as Councilmember Simons has said often, it's 12 to 16 years before we get to show up at the table again as a representative. The proposal does 2 things. Number one, takes the permanent seat away from the most populous city and moves it to the city that produces the most amount of bed tax. Okay, number one. The second municipal representative would continue to be rotated through, but that would be at 2-year terms. So and remember, this is one of your strategic priorities, is to make sure we work on this a little bit. And we've been in communication with Commissioner Manning on this for well over a year. So what that would do is that, based upon how I've done a calendar here, it appears that instead of showing up at the table every 12 years and serving 4 years, the city of Bonita Springs would be able to show up at the table every 6 years and serve for 2 years, okay, on the rotating seat. We are curious if the council would like someone to go up and speak to this issue to the Board of County Commissioners next Tuesday. If so, what message do you want to send, and who do you want to send it?
Okay, council? What?
Well,
This is the talking thing you
Yeah.
need to do.
I'm thinking.
No words necessary, Mayor.
Okay, first of all, let's break it apart. First of all, is this to your liking, this proposal, or would you like to push further down the road.
That is a question, but the best we can tell in taking a look at it through staff is that the only way you're going to increase the rotation is by one of two methods. Number one, both seats rotate, all right, which may or may not be fair to the municipality producing the most amount of revenue, depending on how you feel about that, or to reduce the terms to 1 year, and that's probably not effective because you just kind of learn what you're doing in a year.
It's time to go.
All right, so council's pleasure here. I know, it looks like John wants to say something here.
Yes,
so.
John.
And I apologize for interjecting, but since this did just pop up this morning, we're all kind of playing catch-up here. I just wanted to confirm, my understanding is that on TDC agendas, they used to have an agenda item called municipalities to be heard, and that municipalities are not precluded from participating at each of the TDC meetings. We're just talking about the voting seat.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're all clear
That is correct.
about that there, I don't think there's anything under the new proposal that would preclude municipalities from participating. Again, it's just a matter of how they want to divide up and time the voting seats. So
Yep.
if I'm right, it's
And
probably-
if I might just add, too, the times that I've been there, you know, the chairman has typically saw me in the audience and has forced me up to the microphone to say something about Bonita Springs, which is easy to do. That's okay.
Yes, okay.
So, but no vote.
So, Audrey, did you have something?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the legislation, the proposed legislation, and the concern I have is the term of 2 years. And the only reason I have a concern is right now, 1250104, which is the state statute, doesn't have a 2-year restriction. It could be any amount of time. It's the actual county administrative code that they have a 4-year requirement. And that could be changed at the next Board of County Commissioners meeting. That's a real simple change. All it takes is to do it. So having the language in there kind of doesn't make too much sense. So that was my initial read of the draft legislation.
Okay. Yes, any other discussion?
Thank you. Well, I'm glad we're moving in the right direction. This is good. I would agree that anything less than 2 years is not even useful because, like you said, you're just getting your chops. But I like the idea of 2 rotating seats. Let me tell you, people who have been on there for years, you got 2 people from Fort Myers Beach, you've got 2 people from Sanibel, a person from Pine Island, a person from Cape Coral, of course, because of the seat, rotating in and out for Bonita Springs every 16 years. Fort Myers basically has a permanent seat on there. I mean, what's happened is that we've gotten left out of the ball game. Lehigh Acres has no representation. I would also like to see, because the way that the seats are assigned are whether you're in the industry, we have nobody. We did, prior to our getting the municipal seat, we had the general manager of the Hyatt was in one of the county appointed seats. It wasn't for the municipality. So at least we had somebody who was like from the general area, though they were really not involved with Bonita as much as they are today. I'd like to see them to keep working on this, in my personal opinion. I'd love to, I think they're getting there.
Carl, when is the meeting?
It's next Tuesday morning, I believe.
Next Tuesday morning. It is on the agenda as something,
Yes, sir, there is an agenda item out.
However,
they are working on it, or is it proposed to be passed?
They are looking.
Is it an action item, in other words?
It's an action.
Yes, it's an action item, yes, sir.
All right.
Ben
Yeah,
again.
yes.
Just real quick. Yeah, and we do have an election coming up, okay? So there is one person who's going for election who's very interested in seeing a certain city get a 3rd representative seat. Since I just told you who's got 2 seats on there, you figure it out. Okay, so if maybe we need to support this with a caveat that we think they're going in the right direction and that we'll continue to work. I don't know how that's going to work.
Council, can I make a suggestion that we just have Carl? Carl's been doing most of the work on this. Carl and John have, and Carl go up there and represent us on this. and just follow along. And if they seem that that's the best we're going to get at this particular time, nothing's written in concrete. If they can change it one time, they can change it again. So I think that if that's the direction they're going, I think that we should be supportive of it, and the council should allow Carl to
Okay,
go.
go.
What do you think?
Need a motion for that?
No. I think
I
you just
agree
need
with
to
that,
point at him
Mayor.
and you got it, Carl?
Yes, sir.
All right. Anything else? What else you got?
Sir?
I said the best selection was just made.
Thank you. All right, now you're embarrassing me. Well, let me talk a little bit about the ICM. This is the last item I have, Mayor, but it was already mentioned by Mayor Aaron that last week in Phoenix, the city of Bonita Springs was recognized along with 11 other cities. So only 12 cities out of the ICMA membership, which is not just nationwide but international, recognized as one of 12 cities that does something extremely well that can be duplicated in other municipalities throughout the world, and that is partnering with folks. And we will tell you that a film crew, prior to last week, a film crew came over from Miami. They spent an entire day with us. Laura Taylor was her usual taskmaster self and made sure that they got as much B-roll as we could while they were here so that we might be able to use that film for other purposes. The results was a 5-minute video, and you will see it just now, pretty soon here, that was beamed in all the hallways in the convention center. Okay, not yet.
We're anxious.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's the mayor. He's just interrupting.
Hey.
Right? Wasn't that the mayor? Okay.
I am the chairman, you know.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, sir. But it was beamed in all the hallways of the convention center as well as beamed into the rooms of the participants and there were thousands of participants at the ICMA conference in Phoenix. So, and I was very proud to be there. It's an awesome exposure for us, and we're hoping to get some great response from this from not only the public sector but also the private sector as well. In addition to that, for the next year, ICMA TV, which is a website, will actually be featuring this 5-minute clip along with the other 11. So, as Mayor Aaron indicated, this is not just a reflection on this current group, but all of the folks who have served and elected and appointed positions in this city since its incorporation, and the whole mindset about government light and being able to do it together. And for your pleasure now, we're going to show this to the viewing audience. Ready.
The city of Bonita Springs, I think, is best described as being surrounded and defined by water. We're a community of about 44,000 people, and some of those, during the season, come back, we explode up to about 65,000 people.
Partnerships in the city of Bonita Springs are really what make us work so well. You're all very key partners in the services we provide our residents. And because we're government light, it's very important that the services you provide are recognized by our citizens, because we can't do it without you. Government light really operates on the philosophy of providing good quality governmental services, but doing that with very, very few municipal employees, and contracting out the services to provide us flexibility and cost savings. With our fire department, we are contracting with them to do our vehicle maintenance and also buying gas through them.
Consistently, we get fuel at costs less than they're at the pump, and by increasing the volume with the city, we get a greater discount. So the city saves money and we save money, and also by increasing the number of parts and volume that we use when we work on the vehicles, we get discounts on parts. So, it's a win-win for us and the city.
The partnership works by the city paying for additional law enforcement officers. The benefit of the partnership is that it allows the deputies more time to interact with the citizens on quality of life type of issues. So the cost savings is just huge when you start talking about a small city trying to start their own police department versus contracting for all the services that a large sheriff's department can bring to the small city.
We've partnered with the city and the fire district to streamline permitting processes for developers and new businesses that are coming into the community.
We partner with the private sector as well in that Economic Development Council. When they get a lead as to someone interested in the city, if we get a lead, we immediately call each other.
When we have a potential client for either expansion or relocation, the city has a dedicated person responsible to work with the EDC to make sure that that person gets customer service better than any place else they can get it.
YMCA is a great example of where we have a situation where they came into the city. We want them to be successful. We teamed with them to help get their building open.
We're working on a shared employee situation where that person would work both for the city and the YMCA to expand recreational opportunities basically for youth and families in the Bonita community.
We contract with the firm of CH2M Hill to provide our community development services. Those services are planning, some of our engineering reviews, our plan reviews, our building inspections.
The contract is able to benefit the city by using the resources of an international engineering firm to staff appropriately. We are able to bring in resources as we need them, and we're able to use them other places when we don't. As a result of this ability, we've been able to reduce our fees to the city by about $200,000 this fiscal year.
What we're part of is the Veterans Advisory Committee. This committee came forward with a vision in 2009 to bring a Veterans Memorial Monument to Riverside Park so that we would have an official place that we could honor our veterans. They were able to raise over $90,000 for this monument. That is 26,000 pounds. There's a tremendous cost savings to the city with the volunteerism of our citizens on these boards. The amount of technical support and knowledge and volunteer spirit that they bring, it is a huge weight lift off of staff.
The partnerships that we've been able to form on behalf of our citizens has really helped everyone in this community. It's an easy thing to say that we're going to develop partnerships with all these other people. Every community says it. Every community wants to do it. We were able to do it, and we were able to do it because everyone is on the same page. Everybody has that love of Bonita Springs, that hope for a bright future here.
And with that, that's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Council, we are at Mayor and Council member items. Approve the creation of Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee. Janet, that's you.
Yes, it is. What a great segue. Partnerships.
Segue, he's almost a bicycle.
Yeah, segue, haha. And it is about that too. This is one thing a topic that I've been approached over the past 5 years on council by many people regarding bicycle and pedestrian safety. And I thought it was time to let's dip into our resources, which are our residents, to do this. And our volunteers do such a wonderful job on our citizen advisory boards that I just see this as something that they could really run with. I'd like to see, that if council creates this group, the vision, as stated in the green sheet, is basically for them to address bicycle and pedestrian safety throughout the city and, through community outreach, attend community events, do brochures for the children going back and forth to school and, help them with safe ways and safe roadways and safe direction to get back and forth to school on bicycles and walking. And then also with BTV programming, and the list goes on and on as to what they could actually do for the community. So I'm hoping to get your support, and with your blessings, I'd love to be the liaison.
Okay. All right. Council, what's your pleasure?
Move to approve.
Second that.
Move to approve and then second. And yes.
Yeah. Jana, do you see, or Councilwoman Martin, sorry.
That's all right.
The Honorable. Do you see, for instance, we've had several communities come forward about speed issues, about stop signs, I am so thrilled. I want to thank this council, by the way. I couldn't be happier than to see that sidewalk being built going to the middle school. And people are looking at it and walking, oh my gosh. I mean, thank you, council, for getting that done. But do you see this organization, or this committee, approving things like that before they come to council? Or just, I mean, is that going to be, preclude the sort
I
of
think that's a
non-process
staff decision as to how far that this group's,
influence goes? Or-
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
Exactly.
we have a beautiful bicycle path conception out there that I think we need to do.
Right.
FPL right away. We
Yep.
need to get that done. But, we have talked about, this before in the past about getting that done. I just don't want to move the group of neighbors who will come in for some issue and take away their ability to rally for something they want.
Carl?
Mr. Mayor, I'm in agreement. I think that there's a certain point that staff needs to address these issues from a professional viewpoint and make recommendations specifically to the council with regards to whether or not we need to do a sidewalk here or there. Those specific recommendations, again, because of our professionals on staff, would best be handled that way. The scope of the committee would be handling a different view of things, maybe a bigger vision of things, maybe indicating where they should go first, how they should be funded, those kinds of things. But specific recommendations, like the sidewalk on Michigan, that's best handled by Terry. It's best handled, I think, by staff going directly to council.
Okay. Why don't we do this? Can we give it to staff and let them kind of chew on what their role might be? Because we've got like the street light committee. In other words, do we want to do it like that's done? Do we want to have it to where they take on more than just that type of infrastructure? We've been struggling on what to landscape, what not to landscape, where to put a wall, where not to put a wall. Maybe there needs to be a forum for that takes into account all kinds of infrastructure like that. So maybe we could just kind of get you guys to kind of bounce it around amongst your staff members, figure out how you can do it without taking a lot of staff time up, and how it can be done to where it will be where it'll assist you and not be a part of the problem.
Mayor?
Yeah, yes?
She's right, though. There needs to be something about bicycle safety and holding the events, like, kids walking to school and the bicycle rodeo and
Like
stuff.
what you did a couple of years ago, you started that program at the rec center.
Yeah.
With getting the lights out to the kids and, that's all, I think it comes down to that this group is going to basically address the safety and,
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
I feel real good about that. And 300 people came to our first event, and I have pamphlets in Spanish, and I've got all the laws. And I can get that to you, I think.
Cool.
So
Excellent. Excellent.
So it's
what it is.
more of an advocacy group than
Yes.
anything else, right?
Yes.
Okay, yep, Steve, go ahead.
I support the idea, just make sure that we don't disregard the county MPO with the work they've done on bicycle pedestrian stuff, because they really have a great foundation started.
Or the Lee County
Well, yeah, the
Bicycle-
bike walk committee, and it would be great to see someone from this committee attend those meetings. And that would free up someone from staff who presently has to go sit in those meetings.
That is
Very
correct.
cool.
Okay,
Yep.
we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Councilman Slakta.
Aye.
Mayor Nelson.
Aye.
Councilman Simmons.
Aye.
Councilwoman Simons.
Hi.
Councilman Longcart.
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh.
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin.
Aye.
Okay, Jan, do you have anything else?
Yes, I do. I know I'm trying to be brief here. Do you want me to move on to my next item here?
Yes.
Okay. First, many thanks, as we did before, to Colum Hasty for his service to the tree committee. That was, he's done an amazing thing, and he has found that all his work at the Nature Place is taking up more time, so that was why he has resigned from that. So I want to thank all the applicants. I think it's wonderful to see so many come out. What happened differently this year was that our tree committee asked to see the applications, and they wanted an opportunity to weigh in on who was going to be joining their board. So I do have a recommendation for Mr. James Wheeler, but obviously what we need to do, though, also is that's the blank piece of paper you were given, that's your official ballot. We do need to fill a residence vacancy at this point, because Colum was a resident of the city, and the scope of that group is that we have to have so many residents and non-residents on the board. So go from there, and I guess that's that. So while we're doing that, With your indulgence, I'll move on to a couple other announcements. And the Bonita Springs YMCA is doing a poolside luau on Friday, November 9th at 6 p.m. All of council was invited. So I've been charged with getting a council full of people, a table full of council people, pardon me, there to attend. So if you're going to attend, if you would please let me know. I appreciate that. That'd be good fun at the YMCA. And then also the Art and Public Places Board. They have two very, very exciting things coming up. They have a mural artist who lives in Bonita Springs who has come forward who would like to be part of the first mural program for downtown. Very exciting stuff there. And then the other is our artist, Dale Rogers, who's the Massachusetts artist who did the Away piece downtown, the red ball with the arms outstretched, the abstract there. He also does a traveling show called Big Dogs. And if you Google Dale Rogers, you'll find his website, and they are these giant dogs. And that show is going to be, it's a traveling show, will be in Orlando next year for 5 months. And we have an opportunity through the Art and Public Places Board to get them to come to Bonita Springs with this big dog show. So I'm just asking council if that's something they think might be great so that the Art and Public Places Board can move forward with staff support on that. It's very cool. They're giant, giant dogs.
This is
Metal
in-
sculpture. They're
The one
phenomenal.
that's at the Art League right now?
No.
Inside the building?
Mm-mm. It's an outside
Could
thing.
you do us a favor? Could you
Yes.
bring us something
Yep, I can
visual?
get you. Yep, absolutely. I'd
On
be
that?
glad to.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, and
Absolutely.
to get back to what you were talking, you want everybody to write a name on a piece of
Mhm.
paper right now.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Everybody got a piece
Yes,
of paper?
everybody got a piece of paper.
Yeah, just a blank piece of paper. Write a name on there off of the list of people who were applicants. You just need one name, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. And when you're done, be sure and put your names on it.
And then don't forget our fall festival coming up downtown, and our kayak race, part of the River Fest, and the Great Calusa Blue Way.
You guys just put it right up there when
paddling,
you're done.
and be sure to buy your duckies, your quack pack for. It all benefits the Bonita Nature Place, so that's a good thing with the ducky sales. And the duck race is at noon on Saturday, and there'll be all sorts of events going on downtown. It's just a kickoff, basically, for the fall downtown. So.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Steve, what do you got for us today? This is
Oh,
you.
me. Oh.
Sorry.
Veterans Day, the Veterans Advisory Committee has prepared, in conjunction with Laura and Arlene, the agenda for the day. And just a reminder that this year, because it's on November 11th falls on a Sunday, that we will be starting at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. Hope to see you all there. I'll remind everybody next month when we have the first meeting.
Thanks, Steve. Peter, what do you got for us?
I just want to start off with something actually that Janet had echoed, the YMCA, the poolside party. We will be there, and I want to encourage others to be there as well. Second quick thing is past Friday night, a couple Friday nights ago, was the opening at the Art League of the Andy Warhol exhibit, and I saw Councilman McIntosh there, and I saw Audrey, and got to meet her family is there, and I still chuckle, Audrey, that you got to see Peter Simmons and Pat McCourt look at Andy Warhol together. I know you enjoyed that. But it was a wonderful exhibit, and it will be here till late December, early January. I'm not exactly sure of the date, but for several months, and would like to encourage people to go down and see that. And then the third thing that I have is going to take a few minutes, and we can defer this, if you would like, until the next meeting. But the Florida League of Cities, our committee at the last meeting has voted to move forward with three pretty significant issues here. There were several that we were going for. I'll let you know in advance that the billboard regulations we did not recommend that be moved forward, because actually the Transportation Committee is taking that up already. The three that we did vote to move forward, now this is not finalized, they will be finalized at our November meeting, are the neighborhood improvement districts, the economic development incentives and small business, and then foreclosures. And I'd like to give a small thumbnail now, if I could. Carl, I've sent this to you to send on to the city council, and I think for our next meeting, we ought to plan on discussing these. But Attorney General Pam Bondi was part of a historic joint state and federal national settlement agreement recently with the country's 5 largest mortgage servicers. The settlement calls for an estimated $8.4 billion in foreclosure relief for Florida homeowners. That is our portion of a much larger settlement for Florida homeowners who experience foreclosure abuses and unacceptable nationwide mortgage servicing practices. Now, Audrey, I would like to have you obviously take a look at this. At the next meeting, I would like to have this discussion and recommendations from the staff, from the council, if it's formal, informal, whatever that is, for our Florida League of Cities meetings in November, whether we want to be passive on this or whether we want to be, I guess, assertive on this issue as well. As the economic development and small business incentives says, over the past 2 years, the Florida legislature has focused on the area of economic development as a way to restart Florida's economic engine and create more jobs for Floridians. Getting Florida back to work continues to be a major focus of Governor Rick Scott and the Florida legislature, who has pledged to create 700,000 permanent Florida jobs over the next 7 years. Small business owners are the backbone of Florida's economy, but oftentimes are overlooked and do not qualify for existing economic development incentives. It goes on, but I wanted to give you that thumbnail. And then regarding neighborhood improvement districts, NID, are dependent special districts. A local governing body may create an NID in a residential or commercial setting by the adoption of a planning ordinance in order to promote the safety, health, general welfare of a neighborhood. And NIDs are an effective tool to establish, maintain, and preserve property values and foster the development and attractiveness of neighborhoods and business development. So at this point, although this has not been finalized, the Florida League of Cities Management and Economic Development Committee supports legislation that would allow NIDs the authority to bond in order to provide a mechanism for communities to invest in critical infrastructure and safety improvements. Now, obviously, like I said, whether we want to be passive or take any stand on these at our next meeting is open for discussion and decision. We will be making recommendations to the legislature after our November meeting, but obviously the legislature may take these up or may not. So.
Okay, you're going to have that to
forward
the
to
staff,
me?
and you're going to go ahead and put it
Yeah,
in. Okay?
great.
All right, do you have
Thank
anything
you
else
very
first?
mu-
You have anything
no,
else first?
That's it.
All right,
Thank you.
Martha, what do you got first?
We've unleashed a lion. Awesome. I'm so glad you're going to the league meetings. And that's one of the things I'm going to talk about here is our Energy and Environmental Quality Committee discussed qualified energy conservation bonds. These have not been released by the state of Florida. There's $192 million in bonds that are available for municipalities. And there's discussion about pooling these bonds together. So, for instance, the reason why, Cutler Bay has been on my mind, not only because it's a plastic bag thing, but very dynamic people in Cutler Bay who have started with other surrounding cities the property assessed clean energy district. And so they have pooled their PACE energies to be a more viable and dynamic entity instead of like, our little city does it and their little city does it. So one of the things that we were discussing was that it's very difficult to get funding from municipalities for energy projects. Lots of it's tax abatements and that kind of thing, which municipalities don't pay taxes. So what do? The qualified energy conservation bonds are one way to go and to encourage a certain policy by the state to release those, allowing cities to work together, to bond together, creating districts. That was one idea. You can use these bonds on solar and, all sorts of things and monetize the tax benefits. So you get some tax credits. You'd be selling those off anyhow. The PACE program, I don't know if council members have received this Quality Cities.
Yes, we do.
Please read the article, if you will, on Cutler Bay's Clean Energy District. Because we can't talk outside of council meetings. I did share the presentation that was given by a former member of the Public Service Commission, and gosh, I really wish he were there. But he is now working on innovative ideas to bring alternative energy and sustainability, water conservation, that kind of thing, to municipalities. And he was great. He was really enlightening. There are some people that are doing some things that I hope that we can look at because we do call ourselves a green city. There are opportunities out there that particularly PACE, their program allows them to pay for the solar up front, and the assessment lasts for 20 years. So sort of like how BSU put in our sewers, we have and it's tied to the property, not tied to the owner, so the owner can't just take it down and move it to their next house. It's tied to the property. So I hope you'll look at that. Next, I did mention about Al Greenwood. Let's all pray for Al because he had a heart attack. And yeah, he's got stuff going on, but he's a big, strong guy, so we'll get through that. The other thing was I did hear about this spiring whitefly, and I hope we will take a look at it. I hope we can get that to our tree advisory board. This is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, everybody. Wear your pink, ladies and gentlemen. Breast cancer among males happens. It's not just a women's issue. It's a family health issue. And if you have health insurance right now, you can go get mammograms. Or as a friend of mine used to call them mammiograms, which I thought was really cute. But please consider that kind of health. I have a friend who's very ill right now, who's making a little progress, but she probably won't be with us here long. And it all started with breast cancer. So take care of that, folks. Thank you.
Okay, Bill, what do you have for us today?
Thank you, Ben. I'd like to begin by the last budget hearing that we had, and we passed the mill rate that we're going to use in the city. I did comment on something, and since the last meeting, we did finally get the impact fee total year that we received, the amount of money that we received, and it's up $828,807. And part of the reason for that is the beautiful building, the tall building it's being built on 41. That was a major portion. My point is this also, I want to point out too, part of our debt service, we have been funding from general fund revenue. It's about $346,000. There is the possibility in the coming year that we may not have to use general fund revenue to fund that, and that will come back directly into our general fund. That's a very positive thing. And by the way, did you do the financial report for August? Did anybody? You must have went by it so fast.
They're watching.
I saw Lisa in the back when I saw her leave. Well, anyway, this particular thing is through August. We're in excellent financial condition as a city. The expenditures have been cut substantially through the good graces of the staff, and really a positive thing compared to so many other places in the country. We're great job, Council. Thank you.
Stephen, what do you have for us?
Just real quickly, I'm going to yield most of my time back to Councilwoman Martin. But I wanted to congratulate Stacy Smith, senior at Estero High School. She has won the state championship for cross country and track in her sophomore, junior year. Looks like our cross country women's team will win again this year. But Stacy specifically was just given a full scholarship to the University of Mississippi for long distance running. That's one of 3 women in the history of Ole Miss who've been given a full scholarship for long distance running. The 2 previous were Olympic winners after they left the University of Ole Miss. So congratulations, Stacy. Janet.
Thank you. Anyway, I forgot to mention that the City of Bonita Springs Parks and Recreation Department is going to be holding their indoor craft show on Saturday, November 3rd, and that's from 10 to 1, and that's a fun thing.
All right.
Thank you.
Good. All right, Council, would you like to approve the minutes?
So move.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Yes?
I think in the minutes I mentioned something about Amendment 4. We are so, it didn't reflect what I had hoped it would, but don't vote for Amendment 4. We're so tax conscious here. It's going to hurt your local community. Don't vote no on that. Thank you.
You don't want to?
Oh, no, nobody wants it, and you got a scurrilous piece of mail.
No, so far you don't want to add no addition or correction to the minutes?
I'm sorry.
No, okay. All right, roll call.
Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
What?
The vote on the tree advisory.
Yeah, tree advisory.
Oh, but bless it, we need to do that, don't we?
Who is it?
Who won?
Continue doing what you're doing.
Oh, we already voted. Go ahead.
Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Slackton?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilwoman Simons?
Aye.
Councilman Longcart?
Aye.
Debbie, do you have the results of the polling that we just took?
James Wheeler received 5 votes, and Benjamin Kurtz received 2.
Cool. Mr. Mayor.
Okay,
Cool beans.
good. Is there a motion to approve the results?
Absolutely. There is a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Slackton?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilwoman Simons?
Aye.
Councilman Longcart?
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
Good. Staff, you have anything else for us? That's it, sir. All right, good deal. Public comment. Anyone wishing to speak this time, please come forward.
Yes, Alex Grant, 11851 East Terry Street, formerly associated with you. I don't know how many of you saw the presidential debate last night, but there was a very interesting question that came out that I noticed. It was brought up last night was on pensions, and the question that I have in regarding that is what percentage of our city's pension funds are invested in foreign corporations? In my opinion, the more our pension funds are invested in foreign business entities, then there is less job growth in the United States because less money is available for U.S. businesses to invest in jobs here. You understand where I'm coming from? Do I have a nodding of the heads? Okay, think about that. And everybody else, too.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
What the investments are in.
Deb Harrop, Bonita Springs. It's a beautiful video about Bonita Springs. Very nice. You left out the championing of homeless warehouse shelters and warehouse homeless shelters, rather, and the public-private partnership, the goal of which is to produce an open-air Depression-era style soup kitchen wrapped in a children's park buried in a economically disadvantaged neighborhood. I really couldn't be more proud that the city of Bonita Springs has chosen to pursue a model of food assistance that is as inefficient and ineffective as it is obsolete. Unlike all of our neighbors, Naples, Marco, Cape Coral, everyone across this country, marching into the 19th century. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak this time? Please come forward. Seeing none, council staff and everyone, thank you very much. Meeting adjourned.